I'm Chris Reed here in the Hub Culture Pavilion at Sportmax in New York City with Elle Muliarchyk, photographer. Hi, Elle.
Hello.
First, can you tell me a bit about what got you started doing photography, about the dressing room shots?
Well, it was a very good accident because as a model, I always wanted to create the most beautiful picture and participate in creating it as much as I could. But you know, you have to be professional, you have to be a perfect mannequin, not to say too much. And so in my spare time, between castings and traveling around the world, I would go into the most expensive boutiques all over the world, and I would bring like a small backpack that would have like all like James Bond gadgets, like mini tripod, mini camera, mini backdrops, lights, and I would set up a studio. And I would take the most expensive dress and do self-portraits wearing that dress. So in the end, I've done it in the hundreds and hundreds of dressing rooms all over the world. But I was doing it just as a secret for myself. But one day, I was doing a photo shoot with Patrick de Machlier. And the day before, I actually went to, I think it was Yves Saint Laurent, and I tried dresses that were a similar shape that I knew we would be shooting. And at the photo shoot, I showed Patrick the picture, and I said, "Oh, look at that!" And I never made prints or never even put my pictures in the computer, just sometimes. And I showed it on the back on my camera. I said, "Oh, look at that! How about we do this pose?" And he said, "Oh, this looks very good. Let's try it. Who did this picture?" And I said, "Me?" And who was the stylist? Who was everyone? I said, "It's all me in the store." He's like, "Oh, this is very good. You should do more of that." So he was kind of like the first person to say, "This is good." And I was like, "Wow, this is not embarrassment anymore." And a few months later, the New York Times somehow discovered about my hobby, and since then, people now see me not just a model, but a photographer, and now I'm making movies. So it's been a very fun adventure.
Can you talk a little bit about the evolution? You started as a model, and now you're kind of a fairly well-known art photographer. You also do fashion photography. I mean, stuff's been in the New York Times. Can you kind of just walk us through the steps from you showing that first photographer, the first picture on your camera to today?
Yes, so the first step was Patrick de Machlier, who encouraged me. Then there was the New York Times. There was a big fashion exhibition that I think like 2,000 people showed up, and some of the photographers were my hero photographers, and they were coming up to me and they're saying, "Oh, well, this is pretty good." But I couldn't believe it that my heroes were actually complimenting me on my work, like Terry Richardson and Mario Sorrenti. Like, I cannot believe it, he's speaking to me. And then after that, very interesting people from all over the world found out about me. And one of them was Bella Freud, and she's a daughter of Lucian Freud and great-granddaughter of Sigmund Freud. And she asked me to do a self-portrait campaign. This time she just asked me to wear it and take any kind of picture that I wanted. And that was so far one of my most favorite things that I've ever done in my life. The pictures were exhibited at London Frieze Art Fair. So that was really exciting. And then my next project, the one I mentioned with the churches, with the priests, I wanted to reinvent icons, and icons as really amazing people from the past, and who was Virgin Mary, if she did exist. Because those people, whether they many of them existed, some of them maybe it's questionable, but they are kind of like role models to many people around the world. So they are true icons. They're true like pop stars and rock stars. So that was crazy. And my last project is my first short movie. It's called The Last Poet, and right now you can see it on the New York Times website.
Do you think the fashion industry is becoming more open with the internet and with blogs, or more closed and more like to the industry, more protecting itself?
Actually, you would imagine that with the internet, it is becoming more open. But 2 days ago, I discovered something shocking. With the shows in Paris and Milan, there are many girls who were curvy and beautiful, and they're walking in the shows like Jill and Prada. And I wanted to discuss it on a very popular fashion forum, and they kicked me out. because there is absolutely no conversation about model size on fashion forums. And so I think the future is actually some small organizations and websites that actually propagate and promote freedom of models to speak out on the subjects. Like, for example, my friend's website, The Secrets of the Modeling World. It's one of the very few, maybe the only that I know so far, where actually girls can speak out their minds and what actually is happening in the fashion world.
Thank you very much, Elle Muliarchyk, for coming and speaking with us today.
My pleasure.